And summertime, we have these great plans, and then things kind of unravel as the year gets going. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Yep, we're back in the car because it's back to the crazy days of the back to school season. I actually just left some meetings at work and had a minute or two to talk about your first week of school. So maybe you're nervous because it's about that time of year and you're wondering, what am I going to do to actually get a really strong launch, right? You want to set a great tone. You want the kids to think they're going to enjoy, but work hard in your class, and you don't want to go too soft and you don't want to go too hard. So today's video is all about sharing my first 5 days of my English 9 or English 10 classes when I teach that prep, how I launched the year, and what I would recommend for you. So let's jump into that. So if your school is like any of the ones where I've taught, the first week of school is actually a little wacky because kids can request schedule changes, which means that the classroom is almost like a revolving door a little bit. I'd say some bad years, I actually get like a 20% churn of kids coming in and kids going out as they're figuring out, oh, they don't have the right math class, or they should be at Spanish 2, not Spanish 1. And so it creates all this havoc in terms of your actual roster. So I have found that starting a full unit, like an actual big month-long thing you're going to be doing, I never do that in the first week because I have to then remediate all those kids who just came in and they always feel a little bit behind. So I wait at least a full week, sometimes even 2 weeks, let the dust settle, and then you get into like your main core stuff. But that doesn't mean I don't want to do rigorous things from the launch. So I'm going to take you through the first 5 days. This is the same 5 days of the plan on the 180 days of English 9, English 10 that I finished last spring. So I'm going to break it down for you and show you what that looks like. Okay, to start with, here is an overview of what the week is going to look like. And yes, this is also available in a monthly form. There'll be a link below for you to grab the full year of calendars if you want to take a look at how the pacing looks in my world. I've turned each one of these days into a separate slide just so I can tuck more visual things into each one. So let's start with day 1. So when the kids come in, I've already assigned their seats. And so they're kind of doing like a little Easter egg hunt as they find their name on their chair. And once the bell rings, I do a welcome. I like to give them just like a minute or two, no more than 2 minutes, of who I am, what my background is. And I always like to include a picture of myself when I was their age. And so yes, there I am at 14. I'll have that projected up while I'm talking to them. It's a little bit more relatable, right? And if you can laugh at yourself and your Farrah Fawcett hairdo, then all the better. And then I ask them to make their own name cards. I'm super visual, and so if I can look out at the sea of desks and I see those first names pop up, that's really helpful for me. So as I start to talk, I'm having them make their name cards and pop them up. And then I have them write their name on both sides because the way my room's set up, other kids across the room will see both sides of it. It's sort of they face each other. I have another video about that. Again, I'll link it below. And so I just have them do their first names. I've also found that this is helpful for kids who maybe have a difficult, like foreign sounding name that's difficult to pronounce, and they've done an Americanized name that makes it easier for them to get through and they prefer that. Or if there's a nickname, or more and more, I'm having more transgender or non-binary students who go by a different name than their given registered name. And it just makes for a lot less awkwardness if I know there's a different first name from the start. So I want all kids to feel comfortable at the launch. So if they just write down their preferred name that they want to be called in class, then there we go. And that's how I do the name cards. And that only takes a couple of minutes before we're ready to get into what is the meat of the day, and that's this stations activity. So there's a video there you can go check out. It takes the bulk of the time, about 35 to 40 minutes for the stations, longer depending on how long you want to turn the discussion piece. Again, there's a video that explains all that and those free materials. There's links there for you for that. And part of that stations activity, it wraps up with the You Are Here worksheet. So this worksheet's a printable. If there's time in your class, like if you're on a block schedule or if the discussion goes short, you can have them fill it out in class. If not, I usually send it home as homework and then they give it to me the next day. So that's their homework this first night. I don't get into the class procedures and everything. That's day 2. This first day is just a little bit more of a relaxed discussion, starting to build community, starting to get to know kids. And the You Are Here is helpful for me on the next day when I get that information turned into me. So they'll turn that in at the beginning. And now it's going to be your more traditional, like how I run the show on day 2. So I have a class contract, which has only 4 rules on it. And again, I have another video there if you want to check it out, links below. And in there, basically the 4 rules are: be here, be responsible, be respectful, and be awesome. And that sheet you can see on the blog as well. And then I use memes to reinforce those points as I take my kids through what this looks like in our class. And there are meme generators where you can personalize these, and I have some resources at the blog for you there also. After that, which takes a goodly amount of time because I'm making jokes and I'm going through my slideshow, then I'm ready to get into explaining the bell ringers. And I've talked previously this summer about the value of bell ringers. So if you've seen these before, you can pretty much just jump over it. If not, though, I do have a video that explains how I run mugshots, mechanics, usage, and grammar. So we do one slide every Monday on a 5-day-a-week class. And basically the kids write down the messed up sentences, and then we have a volunteer do the fixes, and the students help each other out to make sure they get them all. And so I have a series of those every single week, those proofwriting exercises. Those are the mug shots that go a long way in sharpening those skills and reinforcing the grammar rules they should know. Then I explain my expectations for lit terms. So every Tuesday when I see them, we start with Lit Term Tuesday, and they're going to write down just the definition, and then I'll have some examples. I'm not going to read this one to you. You can pause it if you want to read what Lit Term 19 looks like for paradox in my world. But I have a series of those available as also. And then after we've taken our lit term notes, I explain how SSR works. So SSR in my world, as I've mentioned in previous videos, is actually on Fridays, we actually read for 40 to 45 minutes. I know other teachers do it as a 10-minute starter or a 10-minute way to end class each day, and that's awesome for them. For me, though, I like to stack up all those minutes and use them at the end of the week because I think there's value in having kids read for an extended amount of time, and I need some time to check in with individuals, and SSR allows me to accomplish that. This handout also is available as a freebie in my TPT store, and there will be a link below for that as well. All right, so their only homework, oops, I missed that. Their only homework on day 2 is to find that SSR book. That's their mission, and they need to bring it to class on Friday. All right, day 3, I introduce what Words on Wednesday looks like. This is how I approach vocabulary. And basically, instead of giving a list of 10 words each week, we actually go deep on 5. So they'll get 5 separate slides like I have with Replete. They're writing down the definition and and then we go over a synonym. We come up together in the class. We'll brainstorm, and I'll write 1 or 2 of them up there. We'll brainstorm the antonyms, and then I reveal, and they write down the sentence. And so they keep those notes because they'll get vocab quizzes about twice a month, and then all of the words, they snowball and will appear on the semester final exam. So that's how I do vocab in my world. And then on day 3, I like to have a little fun. We're going to do the power of punctuation. Again, this is a nice standalone lesson because it could be a sub-plan. It could work on any of those weird days where you have one class that's ahead of another. I like it in the first week because it's rigorous. It talks about the importance of punctuation, but it's also fun. So as you can see, I've got my 2 sentences up there that are completely different depending on how you punctuate them. And then I take kids through a fun lecture, and then they have an activity that I have them do in teams of 2 where how they punctuate a paragraph makes the difference between 2 siblings getting along and having a great relationship and being at war. And if you have a brother or sister, you know it doesn't take much to flip that switch. When they're done with that, we wrap it up, we talk about it. I show them the 2 different versions of punctuating that paragraph so they can see how they did. And then again, their homework continues to be get that SSR book for Friday. All right, day 4, I don't use bell ringers on Thursdays. Generally Thursdays I'm pretty stacked with curriculum. And so I just use it for content. And also I think it's a little bit of a nice thing to take a breather from the routine. So routine is great, but then breaking the routine is also great. So that's what happens on Thursdays in my world. And then Thursday, on the first day of school, is the very important lesson of email and etiquette. Already they're starting to email me, completely inappropriate tone, lack of punctuation and proofreading. And so I'm trying to show them how in the professional world, and yes, school is a professional setting, they should email the adults in their lives to get what they want. Basically, anytime a kid is emailing a grown-up, it's because they want something. And so let's help them get what they want. So I have a full class period. It's about 45-minute lesson where I introduce the idea of email and etiquette, I give them the do's and don'ts, and then we practice. And so I have a series of materials that I'll hand out. I put them into teams. There's just 2 of these here, but I have 4 in the packet where they look at emails that students have crafted. I have like sample emails. They rate them, which is the first place, which is the best, all the way to fourth place, which is the loser email. And then I have them practice different scenarios where they will write out emails. You can actually have them email to you, but I just do it on paper because otherwise I've got my email basket completely clogged with the first assignment of the year. So I just have them do it on paper, and then we talk about them. And then again, SSR was the only homework. So now finally, day 5 has arrived. It's Friday in class. Woohoo! You made it through your first week. You're wearing your school spirit t-shirt. Everything is awesome. You're starting to learn those names. That is great. And then after announcements, we do SSR, again for about 40 to 45 minutes. This is a time for me to do lots of things. One is to model love of reading. So I always talk about the book that I'm currently reading in a really enthusiastic way. But then also after that, sometimes I have to take care of business. So I wish in a perfect world I could just sit and read with my students the whole time. That is beautiful modeling. Unfortunately, the reality of my life is that that just does not happen every time. I might get 10 minutes of reading time, and then I'm actually doing conferences. And on this first week of school, I'm going back through, and I've actually done this the night before, the You Are Here worksheets that they gave me as homework overnight from day 1, which I collected at the beginning of day 2. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's this little line at the bottom that if there's anything else that they want me to know about their lives, that they should write that on the back of the sheet. And so I've gone through those sheets, and anything that's jumped out at me as a red flag or something that needs to be addressed, or even just a check-in, this is when I do that during SSR. So I'll quietly, if it's, not super private, just go to the kid's desk and chit chat with them about, oh, they've got a vision problem. Do they need a new seat? But if it's a more, delicate situation, maybe there's, a family stressor, or there's a learning disability that requires more than just a quick seat change. I might pull that kid out into the hall and quietly talk to them about whatever it is. I also will meet with kids on my prep period. If I feel like it's something that they wouldn't want to talk about during the regular class, I'll go find them in math or biology class, and I'll pull them out of there and I'll chat with them at that time. But you need to definitely follow up. If a kid took a minute to write me a note on the back of this sheet, you got to believe I'm going to give that kid more than a couple of minutes of my time to make sure that he or she knows that I've seen and heard them, and that I'm there for them. Okay, that is it. Boom, week 1, you're done, my friends. Okay, so there's one way to do the first 5 days of school to get a strong launch. As always, if you want more information about anything that I mentioned in the video, just click down there. I put a bunch of links that should help you out. And then if you are new to the YouTube channel, I got a bunch of subscribers this summer, which is kind of awesome. So thank you, welcome. Just so you know, I film a lot in my car. The folks who've been with me for a long time know this, because it's the only quiet pocket of time I have in my day. There's about a half hour from when I leave work to when I have to pick up my kid when she gets out of school. And so this quiet half hour is sort of the time for you and I to hang out. And the best place to do that is right here in my car. No one bothers me. The audio is pretty good. It's like a little sound booth. And the lighting's not bad. Have you ever taken a picture under fluorescent lights? It's not cute. Once you're in your, I'd say, late 40s, and once you're knocking on 50, fluorescent lighting is not your friend, but natural sunlight sure is. So I just feel like I look better and I sound better in my car. So that's where we're going to be filming for the fall semester as we go, for the most part. So sorry, I know it's not the greatest thing to look at sitting in the Hyundai with me, but that's what it's going to be, because I want to keep making videos. I want to be consistent. So the easier I can make that, the more likely it is to happen. And so that's why we do it here in the car. All right. As always, if you have ideas for videos or just questions for me, leave them in the comments below, or go visit me over at the blog. That's it for me this time. I hope you guys are ready, set to launch. Let's have a great year together. All right. I'll see you soon. Bye.